Yeah.
So just like this title says, the NBA, it's a lot more than just a sport. It's not just a couple guys running around shooting balls into nets and all sorts of things like that. And I've been watching the NBA my entire life. I've been to countless amounts of Sixers games, hence I have a Sixers jersey on right now. And it's my favorite sport without a doubt. And so you can tell I'm a huge fan of it. I love different things, all the aspects of it between analyzing the sports, being able to see different calculations and different shots of that. But it goes much further than that. They got, of course, different kinds of fashion. A lot of players have their shoes out, but we'll get a little bit more detailed as we move on with the speech. Then you have the history of the sport, and you can see where it was but when it started to where it is today, and a bunch of different developments and things like that. And then there's even players that gotten so famous to the point where they explore different careers, whether in like acting or they even some of them become rappers. And the really top guys, some players that are in the Hall of Fame, are mentioned in several different rap songs, which you'll see later on as well. And so just take a look into why the NBA is more than just a sport today. So to start off, I'm going to go through like your main school subjects. And so if you're not into the sports, but you're into math, for instance, you got different things like these stat charts. If you're like into stats and math, you do different calculations. For instance, seeing a guy like James Harden, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's an All-Star currently with around 32 points a game, different math, things like that. And then we got a couple guys from my team, for instance, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Sorry if you can't see that. And so it's just, if you're into math and you're not really into the sport, but you like to see the different statistics, there's all sorts of charts like this. And this is a really interesting chart. So Kobe Bryant, if you don't know the NBA, there's a good chance you've heard of his name. He's arguably, a lot of people argue him for a top player. Go either way. Well, this is a shot chart of every single shot he ever took in his entire career, which was 30,699 shots in his career. And he shot 45% for his career, which, if you're into math, that means that he made just about 13,815 shots throughout his career. So different things like that, and doing different research if you're into math and that's your thing. It's fun to look at those kind of shot charts, and they have those for all different kinds of players. And so moving on to science. This is a video about Kyrie Irving, who's one of the top point guards currently in the NBA. And this is a Sports Science, which is a Sports Center show and clip.
After testing a series of moves, data from our wireless motion tracking sensors reveals that he's able to accelerate to roughly 12 miles per hour in just 2 strides. And from a standstill at the three-point line, Kyrie can get to the rim in as little as 1.5 seconds. That's about 15% faster than the typical NBA point guard. But what really makes Kyrie so dangerous off the dribble is his innate understanding of a defender's mental chronometry, or the ability to process time. Before a crossover, Kyrie typically exposes the ball for about a quarter of a second. Because it takes about 0.2 of a second to react to visual stimuli, this ball movement gives the defender's brain just enough time to process the bait. And as his defender shifts roughly 60% of his weight onto one foot, Kyrie swings the ball behind his back at up to 21 miles per hour. That's about 3 times faster than the strike of a copperhead. This allows Kyrie, in just 35 of a second, to create about 5 feet of separation from his defender. And this is one reason why, during the regular season, Kyrie actually averaged more points per game off of drives than Carmelo Anthony and Kevin Durant combined.
Okay, so if you're into science and that's your thing, there's plenty more videos. You just look up sports science, and you got it for all different sports, not just the NBA. And so maybe you're not into math and you're not into science, but you're into maybe you're a literature person, you like reading. There's all sorts of autobiographies out that players write. There's different books on NBA themselves. This is a very interesting story if you want a good story that's facts. He's a referee he was one of the top referees at his time, and actually was paid, and he purposely tanked games because of the payments that they were giving him throwing games, and he got in a lot of serious trouble. He got, I believe it was 10 years of jail time for what he did, so it was very serious. But he wrote the book himself about the whole story and what went on in his life. So if you're into reading and you want a good read, any of those three, but the Personal Foul is a really good one. And then you have, if you're a history person and you really enjoy history, you can look into the back of this board and you got, like for instance, jerseys right here are just a simple stitch and a number. And if you look at the one that I have on now, you got different logos, you got different things on the sides. And this is actually a poster from the first ever professional basketball game. This team, New York Knickerbockers, is short to the New York Knicks now, and Toronto Huskies changed their team into the Raptors. So it's always interesting to look back. And at the time, it was called the BAA. And so if you do more research, you can see the history of the BAA to the NBA, and then there's a whole separation with the ABA and a whole fight with that. But if you're into history, look into that. I don't have a ton of time to go deeper into that. So maybe you're not into the 4 core subjects of school. Maybe you're into different other things like that. I'll start off, you got fashion in the NBA. Maybe you weren't into school subjects, but you're into fashion. Well, these are just 4 top players in the league currently. DeMarcus Cousins of the Pelicans, James Harden of the Rockets, and then Klay Thompson, Chandler Parsons. Those are just guys, they go to all sorts of different shows. They have their post-game, pre-game outfits, and all kinds of things like that. And fashion is a lot more important in the NBA than you would think. If you ask guys, they don't like to just show up in street clothes. They like to dress up for the camera. And then you got different kinds of shoes. Players have their signature shoes. They like all sorts of designs on them. Different unique names, like for instance, LeBron Dunkman 11s. I personally never really understand the name of the shoes, but they're always interesting to see the different designs that come out. So fashion is your thing. And also you can look into jerseys like the one I have on, and then you got different throwback jerseys that are always interesting to look at as well. So if you're not into fashion, you're into art. NBA's got plenty of photos, famous paints. That's Michael Jordan, who a lot of people claim is the top player. There's a lot of arguments against it. And that's a picture, a very famous photo. It's been in magazines, it's been in books, commercials, all sorts of things. That's when he won his first championship as a player with the Bulls. And this is a picture taken by Andrew Bernstein, who is the longest tenured NBA photographer. He's taken countless amounts of photos, different ones like that. And so if you don't like photos, for instance, you can always take, there's many paintings of famous moments. For instance, Kobe Bryant winning one of his championships as well. So if you're into art, it's always fun to look into the different pictures and different paintings that are in the NBA. And then finally, if none of that stuff is your thing, but you like music, the players are in countless amounts of music. Countless players have become artists. For instance, Ron Artest, who went to Meta World Peace and is now back to Ron Artest. He created a song after they won the championship. Shaquille O'Neal has made a couple rap songs, which if you want to listen to kind of weird but funny music, that's your thing. Go listen to Shaquille O'Neal. And then you have a couple songs, Pumped Up by Jay-Z, made in 2003. It refers to several guys, Mike Jordan, like in the picture previously, Kobe, like in the shot chart I showed you, and then Tracy McGrady. Those 3 guys are all Hall of Famers, so you can see those in there. And then this is a more recent song by John Bellion. He's an up-and-coming artist currently, so the song is last year. But it's ironic. Kevin Love is a player for the Cavaliers, and Kyrie Need the King. The King is referring to LeBron James. That is his nickname. And then it's ironic because he's saying about Kyrie Need the King, and this is what makes the NBA so fascinating. That was only a year ago, but Kyrie left LeBron, and so now it doesn't really work. Same with this. Russell Westbrook won the MVP last year, and so Russell up in the West, his name was Russell Westbrook, a play on words, and then my reach is Kevin Durant, who's a player, and they were teammates with the Thunder, but Kevin Durant also left, so that song kind of is like, if you look into it, it's interesting how in just a year, how much the NBA can change. That's one thing that I personally love about basketball as a whole. Okay, so in conclusion, the NBA has something for everyone. Maybe you're not into the school subjects, but you're into art, music, whatever you want. So I encourage you guys to maybe find what you love and then look at that aspect of the NBA and realize the NBA is more than just a couple guys running around the court.
Very good. Good job. Okay, so do Christian's questions. We'll get Jet set up. Yeah, I'll help you.